Yeah, I've got thick. I've got thick. Can you hear me all right, by the way? Excellent. How's my hand? It's doing all right. I'm generally doing okay. I'm doing a lot of exercises, um, nerve flossing exercises. So this is one that I do a lot of. So I do that a lot. So you'll see me doing that throughout this live stream. Anyway, this is the first live stream I've ever done. Well, I did do one a week or two ago, but I'm going to start doing a proper live stream. A good friend of mine is going to be joining me. Fantastic guitar player, so I can't wait to get that started. And you can ask us all sorts of questions. We're going to do a lot of playing and just talking about music and just life in general. So, am I putting on weight? Yes, I've put on weight. I've put on weight. Shit happens. Uh, yeah, I'm getting back to doing cardio. I need to get back to doing cardio. I've been out the gym, haven't done any cardio for a long time, lost track of everything. So, yeah, I've become a bit of a chubster of late, but I'm on top of it. I'm dealing with it. Anyway, feel free to ask any questions that you like. Alexander, that went too quickly. Hang on. Pronyakin. What's my opinion on the old school players like Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck, Richie Blackmore? Fantastic. Just, great. I'm more of a fan of Jeff Beck than any of those guys that you mentioned, actually. But yeah, I think it's interesting because everybody has their perception of life as it happens, and music is a constant. It constantly moves on, just as in life. So those guys played the way they did, and new guys are kind of taking over and pushing forward with their playing and pushing the boundaries of guitar playing, and it's really exciting. It's great to see so many different guitar players doing different things. I think it's a fantastic thing. So, and change. A lot of people are kind of scared of change, but change is really healthy as part of life. So, we can always appreciate the old guys, but we also have to allow new guys to do new things, and it's really exciting. So it's great. It's a good time to be alive and a good time to be playing guitar. You know. Andrew Stevenson, am I going to make another album of tracks for us to enjoy? Yes, of course. I'm still working on it. I know it's taking a long ass time for me to do it, but yes, I am working on it. Definitely. George Deves, what's my opinion on Tom Quayle? Phenomenal player, absolutely phenomenal. Okay. Sorry, you have to excuse my hands sort of reaching over, and can I do this another way? That's better. J.K. Wake, can you give us some insight on that legato lick you just posted to Instagram? A lot of the time when I come up with little licks or little patterns, they just happen off the cuff. It's basically just because I'm messing around and I kind of vaguely have an idea what I'm doing, and I just let the camera roll and just let it go. And sometimes, a lot of the time, I mess it up, and sometimes it works. So a lot of the time, the ones that work go on Instagram. I think it's really important to start posting the stuff that doesn't work, because what I don't want to do is show people all the stuff that is like seems to be perfect, but that's not the way it is. There's a lot of messing up. There's a lot of investigation in this stuff, and that's really important when it comes to guitar playing. So what I don't want to do is give people the impression that I play perfectly all the time, because that is not the case by any stretch of the imagination. Rudy Patron, your channel helped me a lot. Thank you, man. I'm just going to keep putting out stuff because I really enjoy doing it, and it helps me too. It kind of helps me to clarify a lot of things in terms of guitar playing and musicianship in my mind. So it's kind of like a mutually beneficial thing. So I'm going to keep on doing it. Am I still in contact with Sean Baxter? No, haven't spoken to him for a while. That's a really good question. Hang on, let me use this hand. Fat Hin. Have you ever get sick of everything, such as guitar, music, or everything around you? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. You're a human being. I'm a human being. We get sick of everything. You know, I get sick of hearing myself play all the time because I end up playing the same old shit all the time. So I get sick of my own playing. I get sick of hearing, specific, music over and over and over and over and over again. I get sick of life, generally. But this is a normal thing. I think it's kind of nature's way of saying, do something different. Try something different. So instead of playing the same old licks, just try doing something differently. And listen to some different music. Read a different book. Do something different. So it's being sick of things is kind of a normal progression. It's part of life. But it's a good idea not to let these things get to you and actually do something different to change things. Anyway. Caged versus three-string scales or both? Both, man. Both. Both. I came from, I spent years doing three-note per string scales because it's a really great way of learning patterns. And let's face it, the majority of guitar players learn patterns. And anybody that tells you they don't learn patterns is not telling the truth, really. Because we get to a point, and especially in our formative years, we generally, that's the way that you can't get away from shapes on the guitar. That's generally the way that it's laid out. And my perception of the guitar fretboard is all about shapes. And I spent years and years doing three-note per string, all the 7 positions of the major scale, did them over and over and over and over again until it became instinctive. So I kind of just allowed myself to find my way around the fretboard. But once you've done that, you can kind of let it go and you can start exploring a little bit more. So I was talking to a Skype student of mine recently about this, and I realized that I spent a long time, a lot of the practice sessions that I did every single day started off just doing the scale positions over and over. From a technical perspective, but also from a visual perspective, and how these shapes linked together to form the entire fretboard. And so it's really beneficial to do that, but when you break away from the three-note per string and realise there are chord shapes that exist within that, it's a wonderful place to be, because you're not limited with one specific thing, one way of thinking. So do both. So both are advantageous to us as guitar players, if you choose to see it that way. So learn as many different things as possible, because it's just going to open your mind more. Hang on, let me check that. Megadan 502, is pitch axis theory useful in songwriting? Of course, it's a great way, like from a parallel perspective, it's a great way of really solidifying the sound of modes, the sound of chords against just one root. It's a really powerful tool to kind of internalize the sound and the color and flavor of modes and chords and everything else. So it's a really, really beneficial thing to do. Yeah, absolutely. RC32, who's the fastest guitarist in history to me? I don't know. Maybe Sean Lane, probably. I mean, Guthrie's pretty crazy. There are Rusty Cooley's crazy. You know, so many amazing players to play really, really fast. But that is kind of like, you know, in terms of my list of priorities, it's like down here. Um, it's one element of guitar playing, and I think it's really important to break away from the speed thing, because if you focus on just that specific thing, you miss out on so many other beneficial things that will really help your technique. You know, working on rhythm, time feel, that is a powerful thing to do, and it's something that a lot of players tend to skip. Working on vibrato is something that's really a powerful thing, because whenever you deliver a phrase, you've got to do with conviction, and if you have control of your vibrato, which is literally the oscillation of the pitch, um, it can really separate players. And vibrato has been something that's really important to me. So I work on that quite a lot, and it's not easy. It takes a long, long time. Same with time feel, rhythm. That's something that you should pay a lot of attention to. So whether it's just single note soloing or funk playing, any kind of rhythm playing, do it. It'll help you grow as a musician. I hope somebody offers me a movie deal. I do too. I'm, I rate myself as an actor. I think I'm okay. I'm joking. Um, what do I think about 432 hertz tuning? Not even slightly interested in it. I should go back on these questions. New Regal 86. What was your process you used to get your arpeggios so clean and articulate? I did do a video not that long ago about how I ascend through arpeggios, and I sweep ascending and then hammer on from nowhere when descending. And somebody mentioned that Richie Kotzen did that in one of his videos. That his videos were the REH videos that eluded me. Actually, I never really saw them, or I didn't really learn them. I'm not sure where I got it from. I just kind of picked it up, and it seemed to work for me. But from what people have told me, Richie Kotzen does that as well, and I think it's a really, really effective way of playing arpeggios, where you sweep every note ascending, and then literally hammer on from nowhere when descending, and the notes kind of pop out. It's a great way of playing, and that's kind of found its way into my general technique these days, and that's what I do the majority of the time. Not always. Sometimes I pick, both ways, ascending and descending, but a lot of the time I hammer on from nowhere when descending. So, hope that answers your question. Okay. Kirk Wammett. Have I ever heard of Marshall Harrison? Of course I have. Phenomenal player. Kunobu, what am I learning right now? Not learning anything. I'm just kind of trying to get my playing back to where it was before I had this issue with the ulnar nerve. So I'm just taking it steady, trying to get just doing a little bit of practice here and there, each day, and it's getting better. I'm doing a lot of exercises like I did previously, the flossing exercises. So I'm doing a lot of those, and it's gradually getting better. But I've just got to take it really, really steady, and not push myself, because I'm a bit of an arsehole like that. Because I love guitar playing so much, I just want to play all the time, and I kind of ignore these warning signs, and I don't want to do that. I've got to really be careful here. So, Jake Summers. How was Jason Richardson to work with? I really enjoyed your piece on his album. It added some nice contrast to his style of playing. Yeah, I mean, it was his music. I just did a guest solo on the track Hose Down, which he asked me to do. It was literally via email, so I never, and via message. So I've not met him in person, so I don't know what he's like as a guy. He seems pretty cool to me. Phenomenal player, absolutely phenomenal. Very inspiring player, and I was honoured to do it. And yeah, it was a really comfortable process. You know, sent me the track, and I just messed around and came up with a solo, and you know, hopefully he was happy with it. I enjoyed doing it, so it was great to be part of that album. Yeah. That's a good one. Caleb O'Byrne. Hey Rick, do you have any advice for tackling self-doubt and strive to get better? I'm hitting a wall right now. Let me tell you right now that every single guitar player on earth hits plateaus. That's just the very nature of playing guitar. Doesn't matter who you are, you'll get to a point where you just think, man, I am so shit, I sound so bad, and I'm just not getting any better. That's just the nature of applying yourself to a specific craft. You know, it's not a linear path that just goes up and up and up. You know, it's up and down, up and down. You know, that's just the way it is. And I think one thing that's really important is that when you actually take that on board and understand that that's part of the process, it's a lot easier to deal with. When you do hit these plateaus, it's normal. It's normal. So don't beat yourself up for feeling like a failure and feeling like you're not progressing. What I tend to do is kind of shut my mind off a little bit and try not to focus too much on results and being good right now. You know, that will happen in the future. So I just want to enjoy the process of playing guitar, because playing guitar is great fun. You know, it's a great sort of way to express yourself. So try and focus on that rather than expecting results. You know, they will happen in time. Just allow them to happen. Tom Bro, thoughts on playing the triangle? Seems like fun. Might be some fun. Uh, Sam Bell. Hey man, how you doing? Guys, check out Sam if you can. Brilliant player. Really talented guy. Hey Rick, I can't pronounce that. Hey Rick, have you heard of Matteo Cesato? Who hasn't heard of Matteo Cesato? Uh, Came across him a few years ago, and absolutely outstanding. Just so musical. Yeah, it's always phenomenal watching his videos. It's great. It's so inspiring. One of those guys that as soon as I watch a video, it's just like, God damn, I've got to pick up my guitar and play. So, and that's what it's all about, you know, inspiring other people. So yeah, huge fan, huge fan. Timmy, how was making a video together with Tyler from Music Is Win? I really enjoyed it. Again, it was one of those things that was just via, you know, email. But one thing I like about Tyler is he's a very creative individual, very funny guy as well. So he kind of, you know, when we messaged each other about doing it, he made me feel very comfortable about just doing whatever I felt like doing, and it was really great to do it. And you know, we've talked about doing some more videos in the future. You know, some more kind of comedy videos because I love doing comedic stuff, and so hopefully that will happen in the near future. But it was great to work with him. Yeah, really cool. Thanks, Sam. Cheers, mate. Hank Coffey, what are your thoughts on Troy Grady's cracking the code? Has he contacted you? Not as far as I know. I think it's great. It's great what he's doing. You know, looking at it, you know, so closely, it's fantastic. You know, and if he can put out some stuff that helps other players become better players, then what the hell's wrong with that? I think it's brilliant. So yeah, yeah, great stuff. John B. Rick has quite a few Ibanez guitars named after me. Amazing. What do you mean RG stuff? Any thoughts, Bastion H? Any thoughts on PRS Silver Sky? Haven't tried them. Never tried them, so I have no opinions on them at all. So I'll let you know once I've tried them. Uh, am I teaching workshopping? That's from Savvy Symbiont. Are you teaching workshopping at all these days? No. Well, I am teaching. I'm doing Skype. So if you want to book Skype lessons, go to my website. You can book it through there. But in terms of workshopping, no. I've not been out doing anything for quite a few years. But I'm really looking forward to doing that. I kind of just want to get my album finished. Once that's finished, then I'll be all over the shop. So. Ah, that's a good one. Javier Rebleda. Have I got that right? Best way for ear training. Do whatever you can. One thing that I did right from early on is that uh, the good thing about ear training is that you will develop so much as a musician, and you don't even need a guitar in your hands. You can be anywhere. You know, whenever you hear music, try and figure out what the chord progression is. Try and figure out what the melody is. Try and figure out what the intervals are within the melody. So I would do that everywhere that I went, and I still do it now. You know, if I'm in a store and I hear, you know, something on the radio, I will figure out what the chords are. And you don't need a guitar in your hand. You can do it, you know, just by using your ears. And it's a really powerful thing to be able to do that. And you've got the opportunity. It's all around you. Just open your ears and do it. Simple as that. Just do it. Mobile Master 13, how my hands doing? I've already said this before, but I'm going to do another flossing thing. I'll do that kind of thing as well. Oops. It's good. These exercises really, really help. Parminder Growell, am I angry? Of course I'm not angry. What is there to be angry about? Okay. Vader, how can you figure out the chords without perfect pitch? It's a really good question. Um, I think it's really important to internalize the overall sound of a chord. And the way that I did it, I kind of learned this from I didn't learn it from Joe Pass, but I had an REH video of Joe Pass, and he talked about separating chords in terms of their tonality. In other words, whether it's major or minor, or dominant, and he put diminished chords in with dominant chords. But instead of actually thinking of individual notes, trying to hear the overall sound of the chord, the overall colour of the chord, because each one is distinctive. So whenever you hear a minor seventh chord, you should be able to go bang, minor seventh chord, minor seven flat five chords, bang, because it's a colour. Same with dominant chords, you know, and it's the same with altered chords as well. Once you've got a dominant chord, you can hear all the alterations within that framework of around the dominant chord, and that's the way that I've done it. So I kind of literally just zone in on the overall colour of the chord, and that's worked for me. So spend some time instead of blasting through scales at a million miles an hour. Just play some chords and try and internalize it, uh, and do it in a way that works for you. You know, if you can use some kind of recognition, some kind of emotional recall thing, whatever it is that you can use to enable you to identify specific chords, then do it. Each one is a specific color. You can identify colors just by going, that's red, that's blue, that's green. Why not do that with chords? You know, Same thing. So just spend some time investigating harmony. That's the thing. Stop playing scales at a million miles an hour and just play, investigate harmony. It's a great thing. Moneybag Guy 2016. How do I do my drum arrangements? Am I good with drum editing? I take time over it, yeah, definitely. Spend a lot of time working on drums and hits and everything because it's something that bugs me a lot. Drums are something that I spend a lot of time on. So yeah, almost to a point where it drives me crazy. I spend way too much time. I think somebody else should take over, from that, um, uh, because I just spend so much time on those kind of things, and not enough time on playing. Guitar by path and slim neck or fat neck. What you saying, man? I like both. I like both. This Ibanez is like really slim neck, really, really slim. It's great to play, but I also love the Strats that I've got, chunky neck. So just depends. Scavadier, how do I feel about Telecasters? What I've played so far, I love them. I love them. A little bit different to Strats. I think I don't feel as comfortable doing picking, rapid fire picking stuff on tellies for some reason. I don't know. Maybe that's a specific limitation that I have, a mental limitation. But I just feel a lot more comfortable with Strats. But the tellies that I've played, I love. You know, Rabea, how you doing, bro? For someone who tends not to use a theoretical approach to discovering new routes and lines, do you have any advice for getting the stuff under your belt? Any approaches, mindsets? Um, Man, I'm in no position to give you any advice. I think uh, what you do is just so musical, and I think that's a really really important thing is that you don't necessarily have to work on the theoretical side of it. It's kind of it's a kind of balance because when you do work really hard on the theory, you end up having to kind of forget it and hope that it works anyway. So if you're able to just tune your ears into something that sounds good, then that's all that matters, man. And like I said, listening to what you do, I don't think you really need it, because your musicianship is just there, you know. But if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. But I don't think you need to spend much time on it. Just continue doing what you're doing because it sounds fucking great to me. I hope that's helped. Anyway, Duncan Loader, what is that beautiful silver Ibanez you used in the hybrid pick line video? That is an RG 560. It's out of action at the moment. I need to replace the trem because it's knackered. So I haven't played that for a long time. But it's a great guitar. I got it from eBay, pristine condition. It's a limited edition that was made for Guitar Center, I do believe. But great guitar, really great to play, but it needs a new trem because I fucked it up. Being the moron that I am, missing a lot. Junkie Monkey 321. Do I use beard oils? I do. I just grabbed something from Waitrose, which was what's it called? Can't even remember what it's called now. But I use that generally every day, and I've trimmed it down because it was pretty bushy this morning. So I trimmed it all down, and yeah, I do use beard oil. I think it's important to do that. Look after your beard. What's it? What is it? I can't remember. Bulldog or something like that. Bulldog. Nikolai Valchev. What's my favourite guitar solo of all time? Uh, yeah, that's difficult. There are so many. Beat It is one that I still am just gobsmacked with, and Eruption by EVH, and pretty much most of the solos from the Pornograffiti, the second Extreme album, just blow my mind. I'll never forget hearing that album for the first time. It was like, what the hell, you know? So He-Man, Woman Hater, Get the Funk Out, all the guitar playing, not just the soloing, but the riffing is like, it's just so amazing. So yeah, were the those were the solos that really affected me. Satch, Flying in a Blue Dream album, also The Extremist. Those two albums really just catapulted me into this fantasy world of guitar playing, and that's kind of where I've been ever since. So yeah, EVH, Nuno, and Satch generally. God, I'm probably missing loads of questions here. I should go back. Jamie Williams, what do I think to Per Nielsen? His phrasing sounds something you'd be into. I love it. I love his playing. I think he's hugely creative, just fantastic player. Yeah, brilliant. I'm going to have to go back here. I'm missing out on some good questions. Right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Ah, that one. Bim Bam Banana. Have I ever listened to some Steve Morse? Actually, I haven't. He's one of those players that I've never really listened to. I don't know why. Don't know why. It's just I never got any of his albums. Never listened to his stuff. So, of course, I've heard his playing, and he's phenomenal. But I've never really listened to much of his work, to be honest. So. Guitarist guitars. Rick, can you close your eyes and see the fretboard and play in your mind? Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Definitely. I think that's a really good place to be. Having said that, whenever I teach and in lessons, I always tell people to concentrate on, have a visual reference on what's going on, because a lot of the time players will tend to, when they're trying to play a specific line or lick or riff or whatever, they'll look anywhere but what's going on with the left and right hands. So you have to, when you're learning, during the formative period of playing something, whether it's a solo or whatever it is, you have to have the visual reference with both hands, and you've got to focus on it. Once you've built that muscle memory, then you can allow that to flow and, kind of visualize it up here. So a lot of the time when I improvise, that's generally what I do. It's got to a point now where I can visualize the fretboard, by thinking about it, and it's a great thing. It's a great thing to be able to do that, because allows your playing to flow more. Certainly allows my playing to flow more, because I'm not sort of restricted by thinking, what position am I in? I just let it go and allow it to happen. You know. Good question. Good question. Steve Believe guitar. Any advice to strengthen fingers? Yes. Don't do anything to strengthen fingers. I think for me that's something I did think for a while that I needed to do is work on building strength. And what I've realised over time is that it's not about applying strength with the fingers. It's about using minimal pressure, minimal tension, and manipulating that to get what you want. You don't need to apply excess tension to get the sounds that you want. And so that's what I do every time I practice now. I focus on dialing in, just the right amount of tension that's needed. So it's a really relaxed state of mind and a really relaxed sort of physical environment that I find myself in when I play. So yeah, try not to focus too much on building strength. Controlling tension is a really a way more powerful way of approaching playing. Well, it certainly works for me, But good question, man. Thank you. Isaiah Chupas. Are we ever going to get a Saudage number 3 by Roland Dion video? Yes. I'm still on and off working on it. I planned on doing it a couple of years ago, but I plan on re-recording it because I want to get it, really as tight as I can. But life gets in the way of these things. Life happens, and but that's definitely something I plan on doing. Definitely. Thanks for the question. Jimmy Powler, I liked Rick and Andy James. What is that, past tense? You don't like us anymore? Vincent Aprin, you speak French. I lived in France for 4.5 years. I spent a lot of time trying to learn the language, and I tried my best. But I've not lived in France for a number of years now, and it's just like playing the guitar. If you don't practice, your skill just goes. But I've done the work. If I move back to France, I'm sure after a bit of practice it would come back. And I love learning different languages. I think it's a very, very healthy thing to do. Um, so yeah. Okay. Ryan O. Shredmaster, thoughts on Stevie Ray Vaughan? What can you say, man? What can you say? Absolutely amazing. In fact, I was thinking about him yesterday. Um, I was shopping in Tesco or somewhere, and he just popped into my head. And I remember seeing a video of him when I went to Amsterdam in 1994, and it was the first proper full live performance. It was in a bar in Amsterdam, and it just blew my mind completely. Just the feel and everything, just everything. Just absolutely amazing player, phenomenal. Ali Drake, how much theory do we actually need? This is going back to Rabia's question. Um, you don't need any theory. You really, really don't, because theory is just literally a way of pigeonholing specific things, just by identifying it with a name. You know. Uh, so you don't need it. I've met so many players that don't know anything about theory, but uh, they've figured it out in their own way, and that's a really wonderful thing to be able to do, because for me, I think it enabled you to tap into a much more creative side of it. So you're not sort of restricted by thinking in terms of theory. Because a lot of the time with theory comes this black cloud of, oh, I can't do that because that's that chord in this key, that's that chord, and you kind of can entrap yourself into this sort of restrictive environment with, theoretical thinking, and it's important to be able to let that go. So if you are musical, that's all you need. Just trust in these things here, trust in these, and you'll be fine. Uh, Daniel Galletti, any tips on how to learn classical guitar and develop proper technique as an electric player? It's a real struggle. It's a real struggle to balance the two, because classical guitar is to quote a line from Crossroads, it's a very exacting discipline. And if you persist in the other, you will suffer. Don't listen to that guy from Crossroads. You can do whatever you like. But playing classical guitar requires a lot more attention to detail. And that's a good thing in some respects, and it's also a bad thing. The thing I love about electric guitar is that it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, the level of your knowledge is irrelevant. You can just pick up a electric guitar, plug it into an amp, and make some noise, and it's a great thing to be able to do. But classical guitar is a lot more involved than that. You kind of have to go through this process, and it's a real challenge. And I realised that I struggled with it. I still struggle with it now, balancing the two, because for one, nail maintenance is a perpetual pain in the arse. It really is, because the way that I play, I always wear down my index finger. I always break my nails, and I just can't keep them in good shape for playing classical guitar. So I end up putting false nails on, and when you put false nails on, it stops the proper nail from breathing. So they end up becoming brittle, and they break more, and it's like a vicious cycle, you know. It's very hard. If you're really interested in doing classical guitar, the thing to do is just pick it up and just try it. You don't necessarily have to go through, um, you don't have to go through your grades. You don't have to do it in, you can do it in any way you want. And that's where I started. But I've always been, um, I've always wanted to do things kind of the right way. So that's why I ended up going to music school to do it. And I devoted a lot of my time to learning classical guitar. But nowadays, I'm an electric guitar player. That's what I am. So my advice to you is just if you're interested in it, just do it. Just pick up a guitar and just listen to music and just find your way through it. Hope that helps. Jerry Hoops, have I learned any Barrios pieces? Yeah, learned quite a lot of Barrios pieces. It's his stuff is pretty challenging, especially for the left hand. All of it's challenging, but I've learned a lot of Barrios pieces throughout my years of playing. Phenomenal musician. He also had a bit of a rough ride, because Andrei Segovia was, the main guy. He's seen as the god of classical guitar playing, and Barrios was a contemporary of Segovia's, and Segovia made his life very difficult. He didn't give him the opportunities that he deserved. So Barrios really struggled throughout his life to make a name for himself. It's only through guys like John Williams, who was a student of Segovia's, that realised, that had happened, and John Williams sort of championed his work and put out recordings of Barrios's work, and it's only through guys like John Williams that we know about him. So I think what Segovia did was pretty shitty, actually. Yeah. Tombro, are expensive guitars overrated? Depends, man. Really depends. You know, I can't generalize with that kind of thing. I've got to be able to play the instrument and make an informed decision based on my experience of that instrument. So I can't generalize with, uh, the price point of a specific guitar. One thing I do realize is that you can get a great guitar for very little money if you look around. So you don't have to spend a lot of money. Depends how important the brand is to you, what the name says on the headstock, because that's what people are obsessed with. But if you remove yourself from that way of thinking, you can find some fantastic instruments for very little money. Okie dokie. Um, Let me just skip back. Where are we now? 46 minutes in. Man, this is a lot longer than I thought it would be. Parminder Grewal. Does Axe FX sound digital to me? Um, I like the Axe FX. I think it's pretty good. It's pretty responsive. It's pretty dynamic. Um, I generally am able to roll off the control my tone via the guitar volume knob and get some great tones from it. But it can sound a little bit dark at times, especially with recording. Um, Specifically with the tones that I use, it does sound a little bit dark. But I've stuck with. I'm one of those guys that when I find a tone that I like, I just keep it and then never change it. So I never experiment with different tones. I'm a lazy git regarding that. So I've heard some great tones from people using Kemper, people using different amps. So maybe I should get more gear. Maybe I should, but I'm lazy with that. Joe Goat, I am doing extremely well. I'm glad to hear it, man. Glad to hear it. Okay, I guess I should wrap up. Have you got any final questions you want to ask? Thoughts on Tosin? Great. Great player. Great player. Very innovative. Hey Rick, do you think about this is from Kirakita. Kirakita. Hey Rick, do you think about making guitar clinic tour in different countries? Yeah, absolutely. I just want to get my album done. Once that's done, then I'll focus on doing that. Uh, is this stream available to watch later? I hope so. I think I've made the settings, left the settings so that it will be made available. So hopefully it'll be up there. Like I say before, I'm going to be doing more live streams. I've got a good friend of mine that we're going to be doing it. We're going to set it up properly and make it a regular thing. So yeah. Thank you, thank you. That's a good one. Wesley Palladini. Tips on getting over stage fright. That's something that I think most players have experienced in one form or another. Stage fright can be a nasty place to be. Um, but generally, if you're playing in a band environment, that's it's a comfortable place to be because I think when you're focusing on what you're doing, that's when everything becomes like sort of tunnel vision, and it starts affecting you. And the beauty about playing with a band is that when you concentrate on what everybody else is doing, you forget about what you're doing and allow it to flow. That way, you know, you're not worried about what you do. You're concentrating on how you can become an integral part of the overall band, the overall sound. So that's something that you should really, really focus on, rather than focusing on what you're doing and what other people think of you. Focus on, you know, everybody else in the band, and concentrate on you know, integrating yourself into that. Um, you know, that's a really important thing. Anyway, I guess we're 51 minutes in. I guess I should wrap this up. So I just want to say thanks for checking in, and stay tuned, because I don't know when it's going to be. Hopefully next week. Once we got everything set up, then we'll start doing regular live streams with playing, and you know, Q&As, and you know, about all sorts of things, not just music but just life in general. So stay tuned for that. But thanks for checking in, and thanks a lot for your questions, and I will catch up with you guys real soon. Hope you're all doing extremely well out there. All right, take care, guys. How do I stop this?